We're going to start in a minute. Let me just quickly make sure that everything is looking good. And if you're able to hear me and see me loud and clear, just let me know with a comment L and C for loud and clear, right? So that'll be helpful. So that will kick off very soon. Let me just quickly check if I have any other streaming issues. Okay. Once again, all of you, welcome everyone joining on LinkedIn and YouTube. We will get started in a minute. Let me just quickly check that the stream is going really well. Yeah, one more time. I'm going to ask you guys to let me know on the comments that everything is loud and clear with an L and C on the comments. It really helps, first of all. If you put the comments in and share some reactions, it'll actually help the video, you know, the algorithm pushes the video to more people on their feeds. So it'll help if you give me a thumbs up or anything, any kind of reaction, LNC on the chat. I sometimes do struggle with being able to see the chat live, but it's okay, right? Sometimes it just sort of messes up. So I may not be able to react to, I would love to call out names, but I see that there are a lot of um, user IDs, which I don't know, it sometimes gets really complicated. But otherwise, I'm happy for all of you who have joined to be here. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, just put in a loud and clear LNC on the comments so that it sort of gets going. It will keep you engaged and it'll be a fun video to go through. So let's do that. And if you are, today's topic, like you can see on the screen, is going to be on networking for introverts. Now, when I say introverts, it not does apply to everybody. These are simple tricks, simple methods that actually help you grow in your career. So networking is important, but I think the word comes with a lot of weight, which can actually bog you down. So I'm going to give you some tricks and tips that actually help you. Yeah. But before we get starting, um, let me make sure that everything is clear. So one more time, folks, give me a thumbs up or L and C on the comments so that I know that everything is going smoothly. Yeah. Thank you so much for everybody's who's on here. I think the dashboard actually says everything is going well. I can't be 100% sure, but thank you so much for for those of you who have reacted or comment. Thank you so much. Um, so let's get going. While we let the room fill in, we've just started off. Do me a favor, open up the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from tonight, right? So maybe put in your country and the city that you're in from, and we'll get started. And I have a question for you, right? If the word networking makes you want to immediately hide your calendar, drop a one, the number one, in the chat right now. Let me be honest. I want to see who I'm talking to, and that's it, right? It'll be interesting to have a conversation with somebody I know is going to be really interested in the topic today. So just put a one in chat so that I know that you will be listening to the whole thing. All right, so let's dive in. It's almost 5 minutes past our time. So if you are a quiet, high-performing professional, I have an excellent news for you tonight, right? The way you have been taught to network is completely wrong. I'll tell you why, right? When you hear the word networking, what happens to you, right? I'll tell you what. For me, I knew networking is very important, right? But then I struggled with it because more often than not, every time I thought of networking, I see some senior leader I want to build rapport with. The first thing that came to my mind, what am I going to talk to them? What is it that's going to be interesting for them to you know, talk about? How am I going to make myself interesting? Right? Those are the things that used to be running in my hand. The worst part is, even if there were senior leaders who reached out to me, I would be really nervous, not because I didn't know, I was nervous about my job or I wasn't confident in what I was doing. My biggest worry, in fact, was, will I be wasting their time? Will they find the value that they were looking for, reaching out to me? What were they hoping for? There's so much doubt about what it does, right? So that, I never really enjoyed it. So, and if you were one of those folks, just put a one in the chat, right? So number one, just put a one in the chat so that I know you are on the same page as I am, because networking, being an introvert, for me was, I would swear bullets, right? So that's how bad it was. And like I said, right, networking, uh, we were told about networking differently, which is what makes us the whole, brings the whole anxiety into it, right? When we hear networking, we picture a crowded hotel ballroom, right? The forced company happy hours that they take us out for, and you're expected to meet and greet and sort of build rapport in those sessions. And then I I can understand how nerve wracking that could be, right? And that, in those meetings, if you've been there, I'm pretty sure you've been there, right? And not knowing what exactly to say or do, there will be one guy, right? Maybe more than one guy who, the one, the incredibly loud colleague who effortlessly works the room, trades business cards, he just happily gives away business cards and strikes a conversation, makes people laugh, and you're thinking on the sides, what am I doing here, right? And we tell ourselves that because we don't have that extroverted charisma, we can't build a powerful network. We've decided that for ourselves. So we stay in our desk, work harder, and hope that our output, the results that we produce, is going to speak for itself. I'll tell you what, it won't. Like I've said in many other videos, right? It won't. Output keeps you employed for sure, right? It'll you will be valued, but you know what makes the difference? Influence gets you promoted, and that's the key part. And that, I'm sure, you just don't know how to build that influence, how to get that networking going on. But here is the secret that I think will give you some relief. Trying to out extrovert an extrovert is a losing game, because think about it, extroversion for that person is a strength. For you, it's an area of improvement. It's something that you want to improve, but it's not a naturally born talent that you have. So competing your areas of improvement against somebody who's got it as a strength, that's why it's a losing game. The connections made over the small talk at office offsite meetings, right? The happy hours catch up, the over the drinks catch up, or the coffee catch up. The fact is that those are shallow. They don't have any depth to that, right? And the fact is, at the executive level, we don't network. We are required, if you want to get to that executive level, we are required to build strategic alliances. And that's a huge difference. It's an entirely different paradigm, right? And tonight, I'm going to give you three frameworks to completely rewire how you build alliance. And let me take you all to that, right? So, like I said, trying to out extrovert an extrovert, that's just not going to work, right? It's just a losing game. So don't necessarily try to become interesting at a shallow happy hour meeting, because it's that relationship that you build there, it's going to be momentarily sound like it's fun, you're building relationship, but it doesn't, right? It doesn't translate into something meaningful at the end of the day. It's good to have that, and then if you actually build alliances on top of it, awesome. But if you think relying only on those social networking and having those coffee chat, over the drinks chat is going to build that alliance, not necessarily. If you are really good with it, yes, you can. But otherwise, you have to double down on things that you're really good at. Now, if you are an introvert, you wouldn't want to be in those kind of environment at all in the first place. You don't want to be the guy who's loud, and you don't want to be out try to out extrovert an extrovert, right? That's not what you want to do. So I will tell you how to build that massive executive influence, all without draining your social battery. Because if you are in any of these environment, it's very easy for your battery to go down, because this is not something that you enjoy, right? As an introvert, you like to think, right? So grab that pen and paper, take down notes, and we'll start with, yeah, the first point very, very soon. But before we get to those shifts, there are three shifts that I'm going to teach you today. Let me show you what those three shifts are going to be like, right? The first one is, I call it the strategic alliance, right? And then I'll talk to you about asynchronous amplification. Yeah. So that's a different thing altogether, right? How do you be asynchronous, but how do you amplify that so that you build relationships? And then the third one is for I'm asking you to be the node. And I'll tell you what exactly it is when we get to that, right? So let's move to shift number one. First one is about, I said, you know, in this, it's strategic alliances, and I'll tell you what utility beats charisma any day. So stop trying to be interesting, right? That's the whole point, right? Start being full. Traditional working advice to us is ask an executive for a full coffee, or you pick their brains, ask for an advice, and so on and so forth. But let me be blunt, right? Executives do not have time for a virtual coffee. That request actually drains their energy, because think about it. If they are in a senior position, what are the chances? How many people do you think are going to be requesting that exact same thing? So it's not about asking out for a virtual coffee, asking them to have a quick casual meeting and then building rapport. Well, if you're really good at socializing, and if you have those small talk skills, and if you enjoy meeting new people and creating relationships, naturally, great. But on top of that, you've got to do something else, and we'll go through what those are. First is that instead of asking for their time, you're going to give them a solution, right? I call this the value add reach out, right? There is a real life story so that I can back it up, right? 2 months back with this brilliant but highly into data man. I want to name, okay, let's call her Sarah for privacy sake, right? And she wanted to build an alliance with the VP of the marketing team. But like with most introverts, I know how difficult it is for a small talk to be kicked off. She was terrified of small talk. So she noticed the marketing team was struggling, right? She knew that they were struggling with a data bottleneck she had solved months ago in her team. She had come up with a solution that brilliantly worked for her team, right? All she did was a simple thing. She sent a simple 4 sentence email, right? It goes something like this. She said to the marketing VP of marketing, right? David. So, hi, David. I saw your team is spinning up the Q3 integration. We ran into a similar bottleneck last year. I've attached the one pager on exactly how we bypassed it to save you and your guys some time. No reply needed. I just wanted to share, right? So, that's it. That's all. That was the simple note that she sent with the details. And that is why utility beats charisma any day. She didn't ask for a favor, she just delivered pure value, right? You don't send this note expecting something in return. You just want to be of pure value, right? You do it more and more. Now, those of you, well, type value in the chat if you see the difference between asking to pick someone's brain or just having advice versus handing them a solution, right? This is how you get remembered. So if you think that is you got something out of it, put value in the comment section. And if you're getting value tonight, hit that like button on right on YouTube video, or show some reactions on the LinkedIn, so that this the algorithm pushes this video to more people and more people can benefit, right? I know there is 30% of the population is introvert, and a lot of those introverts struggle a lot more because the world dominated by extroverts. It's easy for extroverts to be part of this whole ecosystem, but for an introvert, we need support, right? Now, the fact is that, like I said, it's not just only for introverts. This is something that applies for even extroverts. Extroverts, if you are listening, you might be great at building that rapport, right, initially, but like I said, those rapport building exercises that you go out, socialize, build, that helps you get the foot in the door. They'll remember your probably your name, right? But do they see value in you? No, you have to apply these principles even if you're an extrovert. Yeah. But then for introverts, this could be the lifeline, right? So, like I said, if you are getting value tonight, hit that like button or show some reactions on the LinkedIn video. I'm on YouTube and LinkedIn at the same time so that it reaches more managers on your feed who need to hear this. So, now with that, we're going to shift to the shift number two. Like I said, it is asynchronous amplification. So, what does that mean? Now, if you're an introvert or not, right? Most of the introverts, though, thrive when they have time to think. Now, the problem with that is in an extroverted world, face to face networking drains your battery because it requires real time performance. And I call this performance. You're performing, right? It's not natural. If you have to build a rapport, there's a face to face meeting, you have to put up the performance, and that can drain your energy. So, take the performance out of the equation. And if you ask me how to do that, right? I'll show you how. But the fact is, the best strategic alliances can be built asynchronously, and that's something that you have to understand, right? You don't have to be face to face. It could be asynchronous. You can be away from that situation, save your energy, and still be very, very effective. And you do this through the radar strategy. Your goal is to become the signal booster for other departments, right? How do you become the signal booster for other departments? Take 5 minutes every Friday to publicly highlight a cross functional peer. If the finance team, for example, right, helped you route a difficult budget, don't just say thanks in a private message. That's something I'm sure you do already, right? But without hesitation, drop a note in their cross departmental or Slack channel or a Teams channel. You have group, you know, channels on Teams and Slacks. In those, what you do is send them a note of thank you. Or if it's easier for you to send an email, do that. But CC their boss, CC the senior leader, saying, massive shout out to the finance team for untangling the Q2 budget routing. And that's it. Right? Now, those of you who are watching me live and listening to me live, let me know in the chat. Have you ever had another department publicly highlight your work to your boss? Now, you may not have had that situation, but if you haven't, just imagine how would that kind of a note make you feel about the person who sent that note, right? That is what you want others to feel about you. That's what is asynchronous amplification, right? Now, it takes zero social energy. Yes, it takes no social energy. It's somebody help you, you send them an email or send a huge group appreciation, thanking them for their help, and be specific, right? Say what they solved for you. That's where the value comes in. But when you become the person who publicly highlights the wins of the other team or teams, those teams will violently advocate for you when it is time for your promotion. Because, like I said, if you were called out and given a note like that, how do you feel about the person who sent that note? You want yourself in that place. And that brings us to shift number three. So let's move to shift number three. It's be the node. In any company, right? There are conflicting departments that is built into the system. These are, well, it's not conflict as such in its purpose, but it is meant to be in some shape or form. For example, uh, a finance team will sort of keep a tab on what the marketing team is doing, not spending, you know, not going over the budget in their marketing approach. That's one of the things, their agenda, right? So it's conflicting, right? It is, for example, another one, right? The marketing team does not really talk to the engineering team, and the engineering team does not talk to the sales team. They most often than not, they operate in silos. And you, right? Here's the point. You don't need to be the life of the party to build influence. You don't need to be the most interesting person in the room. You just need to be the person who bridges, right, the gaps between those disconnected islands. Yeah, you don't need to be the life of the party. You need to be the person who bridges the gaps between those different departments or teams, smaller teams, right? If, for example, say you hear a project manager struggling with a um, let's say struggling with a compliance issue, and you know a legal analyst who solves those exact issues, or maybe they enjoy solving those kind of issues, what you do is basically introduce them to each other. You send one email, right? So it goes something like, hey, Mark, meet Sarah. Sarah, Mark is running into that compliance snag. I knew you two needed to connect to solve that problem. And step back. They solve the problem, but here is the magic. Both of them now view you as a highly valuable strategic partner. You just gain the social capital of two different departments simply by curating a connection, right? Now, for all of you who is on the live video, who here knows two people in their company right now that should be talking to each other but aren't? Type a me in the chat or the comment section, right? And give me a thumbs up otherwise on the chat. You have an opportunity tomorrow morning to be that node, right? That is what be the node stands for, right? You can be that node and don't delay it. If you know two departments, two kind of teams that can work with each other, get going on that. Send that note tomorrow morning. Don't wait. Oh, well, it's Friday, so maybe the Monday morning, right? Now, here is another point, right? The choice. Waiting for a senior leadership to magically notice your hard work is a recipe for career stagnation. The quiet professionals who actually get promoted to the executive suite are the ones who deliberately engineer their visibility through strategic influence, right? Knowing that you need to be helpful over interesting is the first step. That's what you learned today. You don't need to be interesting to build that influence. You just need to be helpful. But having the exact scripts, the confidence, and the operating systems to execute this consistently is what separates a good, a regular middle manager from a director level promotion ready middle manager, a senior executive level promotion ready manager. You have to be promotion ready. And if you want to run an assessment of how promotion ready you are, go to www.rakeshravindran with double e.com, right? I'll put the link in the description so there's no confusion. Go take an assessment for yourself and see where you stand, right? And if you're ready to stop hiding behind your laptop and start building an undeniable executive brand for yourself without changing your true nature. If you're an introvert, you don't need to start pretending like an extrovert, but true to your personality, being yourself. If you want to be that undeniable executive, it is time to step up. And that is exactly why I have built 60-day leadership challenge. I call it the lead-a-thon challenge specifically for you. Yeah. Lead-a-thon challenge. Go take it, right? I strip away the generic corporate advice. It's not advice. And I've installed the exact step by step framework. You need to build influence, manage up or lead up, and secure your next promotion. I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. It'll be there in the chat. It's there in the description as well. And click that link. secure your spot in the challenge, and stop dreading networking, right? And start engineering your career with simple techniques and tricks. And you may learn a lot about what to do, but how to do it is something that I teach in this leadership challenge, right? So let's get to work. Now, the thing is, a lot of you may think, oh, well, I can learn from the YouTube channel. I know a lot of my subscribers on the YouTube channel think that, right? You think that, you can just watch my videos and you can get everything you need. You will get everything you need. I can assure you that. But here's the thing, I can teach you what to do in those videos, but if you need how to do it, if you need somebody to handhold you, work with you, weekly catch up, enroll for the leaderathon, right? Enroll for the 60-day challenge, because there I will hold your hands. We will work together on solving the problems. I offer you 3 free one-on-one, right? And you can use it any way you want. You have the liberty to book my time and 1 hour one-on-ones with me, and you will get a weekly group sessions as well where I can answer questions for you, right? But only if you start enrolling within the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And there is a very limited time offer that I have on this. Now, if you are really interested, click on that link and get going on that. Okay. All right. We have some time left. I want to answer any specific question, right? If you're struggling to connect with specific executive or cross-functional team right now, drop your scenario in the chat and let's workshop your value add reach out, right, as much as possible. If you want to have a free one-on-one session with me as well, it's going to be there on the description. We can discuss that as well, because I can understand a lot of the times you don't, on especially on a platform like LinkedIn, you don't want to sort of come and ask questions about how to navigate your organization. I can fully understand that. That's why I'm offering you free one-on-one, whether you enroll into leadathon or not, right, the 60-day challenge or not. You have free one-on-one session with me, and you can book my time and come and speak to me. We may be able to come up with a very, very bespoke solution, very specifically for your specific situation, right? And we can work through that. So if there are any questions, feel free to reach out to me, put it on the comments. If you're watching the recording of this, say a day later or a few hours later, if you still have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Put it on the comments if it is generic question. But if you are more interested in having a one-on-one session with me, feel free to book my calendar. I'll post the link on the description of the show note, and yeah, and that's about it. I see a lot. No, I don't see any questions specifically that I think I should address right away. I don't see any questions, but put in in the comment section. By the way, if you feel like you want to talk about, would want me to talk about any specific topic in the next live session, feel free to let me know about that as well. I'm happy to take that in as well, and we can get going there in that direction. Maybe I'll create a new video, or I'll come live with just that as a topic to discuss and talk about, and we'll address as many of your questions as possible in those live sessions as well. At this moment, I feel like I have an issue with my live stream chat window. Maybe I don't. I'm not seeing any questions. I can see some reactions. Thank you so much for reacting. That takes me a long way as well. But in the comment section, put in the questions. I will try and answer those questions as much as possible. And if there is no other questions, folks, thank you so much for being here, watching me live. I hope you will be there the next week. I come live every Tuesday. Sometimes I redo the same video again, if especially if the video, in this case, I'm doing this again on a Friday because I didn't the Tuesday session. It's still there on LinkedIn, right? It's pretty much the same session. Didn't go so well. It's got a very poor frame rate for some reason. Uh, I hope this time it goes really well, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, and I wish you the very best luck. Take care. Welcome everybody joining my live stream on LinkedIn and YouTube. We're going to start in a minute. Let me just quickly make sure that everything is looking good. And if you're able to hear me and see me loud and clear, just let me know with a comment.